Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at cranks and some components made by Unite Co. based out of the UK. I've got a set of technically the children's cranks that they sell. These are in a 155, or no, sorry, 150 mil spec that will be going on my wife's bike over there. But just want to do a quick overview of these products. You don't really see these covered much. They're CNC'd. Definitely a good alternative to, say, 5-dev cranks if you're looking for shorter cranks, but don't necessarily want to spend as much money as the 5-devs cost. Quality overall is there. However, there is one design issue that I'll get to in a moment. But overall, I would still recommend these cranks for anyone looking to get shorter custom cranks, as well as they offer custom colorways and splatter options. So over here I have my Trek Slash 2022 model that I built up, and on here I've got the Unite cranks. These are at a 160 mil length. These are their Enduro set. I've run it for this past season, showing just a little bit of wear from heel rub, but overall still pretty good shape. I've got a 30-tooth oval chainring on there. And overall, these have held up pretty well. Some crank strikes there, nothing too crazy. Check the other side here. Overall, they've held up pretty decently. Rode this out in Quebec. The only thing I really have to note running these cranks for the past season is while on a ride out in Vermont at, I think, Perry Hill, the cap, the extractor cap actually backed out, and this is a 12 mil. You need a 12 mil Allen for this cap, and that's not a hex key that I carry around with me. So I had to go find a bike shop and ask them for the 12 mil, and thankfully they have one. It's kind of a uncommon size, so if you own one of these cranks, you may want to just get a cheap 12 mil hex to own, so that you can tighten this cap up if it starts to come loose. Okay, as I'm filming this, I actually just noticed something. So these are coated, Cerakoted, and there's a paint splatter finish underneath. I'm just noticing right now, there's actually a little bit of corrosion, perhaps, right there. Hopefully you can see that. Where I guess the Cerakote has come off and the aluminum has corroded a little bit. So I'm just noticing that right now. Not really seeing it anywhere else. Maybe a little bit right along this edge here. Nothing on that side. Let's see the other side. Nothing here. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit right here. That could also just be dirt or scuffs. Oh, actually, yeah, here. So I guess be aware with the Cerakote finish, it may come off and maybe we'll have a kind of a corroded look, slightly corroded look to it. This is, I forget exactly how long I've had these, but probably had these about a year or so. So just be aware of that with the Cerakote finish that they provide. There is an option for a standard anodized finish, I believe, as well as a raw finish. That shouldn't have this effect. I also wanted to mention that I am in no way affiliated or sponsored by Unite Co. I paid for these cranks as well as these cranks with my own money. They offer great discounts that are available for everyone. Again, I have no affiliation whatsoever with Unite Co. Okay, so the main design deficiency that I see is how the chainring mounts to the crank itself. So if you look at the chainring, you have these cutouts essentially for the bolt to sit in, right? Now, but then if you look here at the crank, with these bolts, they go all the way flush to the crank arm. Now, I don't have a SRAM crank to compare to, but I know on the SRAM cranks, there's actually a little lip on the inside right there that would match this lip right there. That way the bolt can sit evenly. So as is, when you mount this chainring onto the crank arm, this bolt will only pinch this bit here and not make any contact with the surface of the crank arm here. That could lead to some issues maybe down the line with creaking, working its way loose, overall just not as secure of a fit. I did have the chainring come a little bit loose on that same Perry Hill ride, but at the same time the cap was loose too, so it was a little hard to tell exactly what was going on wrong with it. I tightened everything up and it's been good since then. I put probably another 200 to 300 miles since that, I guess, incident, with no issues. But I guess my warning here is that when you're putting any chainring on this crank arm, just be sure to tighten it up. Use Loctite on these bolts, assuming they don't come with it, and just, yeah, make sure everything's fully secure. Aesthetically, these are pretty good looking cranks, fairly simplistic in design, so if you like industrial kind of look, you'll like these. One other design feature that I really like on these cranks is the preload collar. It's a larger bolt than what you'd find on the SRAM dub crank sets, as well as the plastic preload collar itself is a little beefier and sturdier. And there's actually a bolt on the backside, so it's not threaded into plastic. So that's really nice. Here's a look at the bash guard. Comes with the hardware as well. That's nice. Here's the spindle. Perhaps could be a little bit cleaner, but overall pretty good. Overall, I've had a good experience running these cranks for the past season for enduro and kind of park riding. Mechanically they hold up. They're solid. They feel pretty stiff. You just got to be aware of those little quirks with the chainring interface system and how the lack of machining there. Just being sure to tighten down your bolts, as well as the 12 mil hex required for tightening the extractor cap here. Overall, I would recommend them definitely for the price. They run a lot of sales throughout the year. It's pretty easy to find codes, discount codes for them. Even in the US, they'll include free shipping a lot of times too. So it's definitely worth a look compared to 5dev. I mean, these come in, I think you can probably get these for less than half the price of a 5dev crank set, if not even lower than that, depending on what sale is going on and what crank set you're looking at. So I think this is definitely a very viable option. All right, so I ended up swapping the cranks over. So here are the new Unite cranks on my wife's Fuel EX. But I can also show you now what I mean by the lack of lip on the crank arm. So if I take this Unite chainring that was on there previously, you can see that there's now this surface where the bolt can sit relatively flush because of that extra little lip that's machined into this surface here. Hopefully you can see that on video. If you have any questions about these cranks, feel free to post in the comments and I'll try to get to you. I don't typically make videos like this, but if you also liked it, you made it this far into the video, I'd really appreciate a like as well as a subscribe. But yeah, have a good one. Keep riding.